Good morning, everyone. My name is Sherry Stump. Can you hear me? I'm with the Tsilhqot'in. That's sort of hard to pronounce if you're not from our area. That's also the English name is Anaham. I'm with the Tsilhqot'in National Government. I'm the Language and Education Coordinator, and I've been with them for 6 years. Initially, I started working with them on a language project with the First Peoples Culture Council. At the time, the funding was the Language Authority Project. From there, I moved on into education. We have a Tsilhqot'in language certificate program that we run through University of Northern British Columbia. I'm going to introduce my colleague here. This is Bella Alphonse.
Hi, I'm Bella Alphonse. I'm from Tsilhqot'in. That's the name of our community. It's like about 60 miles west of Williams Lake, and I work as a transcriber, translator for our tribal council, the Tsilhqot'in National Government.
We can move on to our next slide. The Tsilhqot'in, also known as the River People, we reside in the Tsilhqot'in by the Tsilhqot'in and Fraser River. As salmon was their main food source, this is why we've been giving our name. Bella can talk about the abbreviation more.
The Tsilhqot'in people, when broken down into Tsilhqot'in, Tsilhqot means river. Qot'in means people from. Thus, we are the people from the river that live along the river.
So the Tsilhqot'in National Government consists of the following communities. So we have number one, we have up here, you see our map is located in the Caribou-Tsilhqot'in area. Our first community is Tsilhqot'in, which is the largest community. Our second is Untitled, which is Redstone. The third is Untitled, which is Stone. The fourth community is Tsilhqot'in, which is also Nemaya. The fifth community is Tsilhqot'in. The sixth community is Estilaw, Alexandria. In total, our whole nation covers over 3,000 people. We can move on to the next slide. So when we first started working with UBC, thanks to Sarah, we applied for the digitization grant. We have, and it's basically we had back in 1999 and 2001, we had a number of interviews, and this was our traditional use study overview. The TOS was implemented in 1999 and 2001, and the purpose of the traditional use study was to document historic and contemporary patterns of land use and occupancy of the Tsilhqot'in people through one-on-one interviews. The TOS was also established to collect, map, and compile the data for land management and protection of traditional use sites, heritage sites, and areas of concern. The information is also used for cultural and educational programs and to preserve the Tsilhqot'in language for living participants. Unfortunately, some of the elders that were interviewed during that time are no longer with us. I'll have Bella Alphonse talk a little bit more with a traditional use study overview, as she was one of the main ones that were interviewing our elders during that time.
When this first started, that would have been in around 1999, 2001. I was involved in this interview when it first started. I interviewed elders, and then today I am now not only transcribing it, I'm also translating it into English as well. And so sometimes it can be challenging because these are fluent speakers that we interviewed during that time. And some of them have high level of fluency, and sometimes it takes me longer to translate it into English.
This is just a photograph of some of our elders that we interviewed. Unfortunately, only 2 are still living with us today. The rest have passed on. But without our elders, our history is gone. So I'm going to talk about what we initially applied for with the UBC for with our project. So our overview and our objectives to complete were to digitize our cassettes, preserve and save on a TOS server, update our TOS database, transcribe, translate interviews from Tsilhqot'in to English, create apps for an educational resource. Right now, we've completed all the objectives, and we continue to work on the translating and transcribing, and we are working on creating apps for educational resource. Our traditional youth study team consists of, at the time, was Brooke Elbers. She's our digitization technician. She moved on to Victoria. We have Erin Plan, who replaced her, as well as Geraldine Charlie Boy. She's from one of our Tsilhqot'in communities of Tsilhqot'in, which is Redstone. She also moved on. We had Mary Ann Solomon replace her, who was one of our areas from Tsilhqot'in. And we have Shane Dalrich, who does our mapping. So this up here is some statistics of our cassettes. For our first digitization technician, she was counting the cassette tapes just for one interview. So the numbers are off. I have to apologize. I didn't notice that until before I went up to do the presentation. So with her numbers, she was estimating over 700 per tape of interviews. But with Erin here, our second digitization, I guess it's just a matter of their style or how they wanted to count the numbers. But he was counting per side. So in the green, the correct number is 830 recorded tapes in Tsilhqot'in per side. And in the yellow, the correct number is 429 in English, and in the gray, 171 for both. But the correct number here he had per side is 1,430. During this time, we also had some, like all our most of our TOS tapes consist of interviews, a few songs, some linguistic work, and recorded meetings. So during the training, we were able to take the digitization training thanks to Jerry Lawson and his team there. But this is just a snapshot of the software that we were able to access. We borrowed the equipment from UBC, and we were also able to purchase a second, and we have that within our office. So we had 2 going on at the same time. When Brooke was working with us before she left, she managed to digitize all our cassette tapes. The next one is our audio release form. You have a copy of that in your folders. Since 1999 and 2001, the initial release form was simplified. It was only 1 page. And since we started working back within the traditional youth study and completing new interviews in 2014, we revamped this numerous times. We sat with our team. We went through we trying to go through the correct permission with our leadership and saying, how do we go about this? So what you have in your package is 3 pages long. I think what you need to keep in mind is making sure that you know what the interview is being interviewed for, this traditional youth study purpose, how we plan on storing the information, what is going to be released, and asking their permission. So we have 3 boxes that are ticked off for educational purposes, if they want it to be publicly available, and that's on our website, or if we want to create any material. And they also have the option of none of the above if they want to keep it confidential. But the second page of the release form is just other information. And we actually have someone interpret it in Tsilhqot'in if they don't understand. We help them go through this and have a witness and sign off on that as well. And we thought we were done with this 2 pages later, and we brought it back to our leadership at the chief's table, and they said we should add a disclaimer of liability. So seeking our legal counsel, he gave us feedback and stated that this is what we should include, so we added another paragraph. And for TNG staff only, we need to keep track of our PIN numbers of each of the cassette tapes, so that's for our own use, whatever is in the box there. I don't know if you want to add any more to the release form, or that's good. So we were fortunate that when we started working on our TUS, Brooke Elbers also came across that we had a number of tapes that were were at the museum, the Royal BC Museum. There are like 50 tapes, and she was able to access, we were able to get those copies back. And the Coyote song was recorded on a wax cylinder in 1915 in Spence's Bridge and was returned to the Tsilhqot'in National Government by the Royal BC Museum in 2015, exactly 100 years later. Since the song was returned, Chief Roger of Tsilhqot'in, Youth Pierre Lassis of Glasgow, and Councillor Loretta Williams of Tsilhqot'in have learned the song. Attached is a video of the version, but do you want to include more of that?
This song that they got back, one of the songs that came back from the museum is regarding a coyote. Coyotes in our language is Tsilhqot'in, and coyote is a messenger. In the song, the coyote is very sad. So coyotes are messengers. They are, I guess, deliverers of bad news, and they're simply giving you a message. And that's what that song is about that came back from the museum. That's the one Chief Roger William and a youth, Pierre Lassis. They did an awesome job of singing that song, so it was very special to us.
I guess when they first sang this song out in Tsilhqot'in, it was during the winter, so there was still snow on the ground. But this is the first time they sang it, and after they came out of the building, the band office, there was coyotes singing. So they said that was quite powerful, and even our lawyer was quite impressed by what just happened and what he witnessed after they sang the song. So I will share the song. I think there's a video clip that we can click on. able to hear that? Okay. I guess before we end, Bella will have a few more words here.
Some of these tapes that came back from the museum, we had elders in there that were speaking at a very high level of fluency. So for someone like me, I am fluent, but it took me a little bit longer to transcribe these stories. And the hard part was when I was translating them, I had to keep going back to elders that are still living today in order to translate it into English. And it had such awesome, it was such an awesome tape. This one elder that I did, and it's one of my favorites, he got asked one question at the start, and it took him 47 minutes later, he was still talking, and the tape ended. So it was very awesome, and usually it takes me one day to translate a 47-minute tape into English, but on his interview, it took me 5 days to finally finish it. So we were very grateful to get these back from the museum. Thank you. Sachanatya.